Hey guys, how are you doing today? So today I am bringing you my top 6 February cozy mystery releases. Now remember, I try to stay within the first book of a series all the way to maybe the 5th book of a series because I don't want to tell you about a 22nd released book or something like that because I want it to be something that you can pick up and maybe read the first or second one to get to that third new release or something along those lines. So these are mostly going to be books that are anywhere between the first book of a new series and the 5th book in a series. So let's get started. The very first book that I want to talk to you guys about is called Color Me Murder by Krista Davis, and it is the first book in the Pen and Ink mystery series. So I am super excited about this series, and normally if they're a brand new series, the author, if I haven't gotten any of their books before, I'm gonna purchase it on ebook, but I kind of want to purchase this in paperback or hardback or whatever format it comes in because the front cover and the back cover, you can freaking color. Like, it's blank. Like, you look right here, it's blank. And you're actually encouraged to color it yourself. And how cool would it be to color it and then take some Instagram pictures? And I'm so excited about that because that's what I'm gonna do. So I challenge you, if you wanna do this, I wanna see your Instagram pictures of it's colored. It comes out on January 27th and it's about Flory Fox. She manages the Color Me Read or Color Me Red bookstore. And she's loving her new job. She lives in Georgetown, Washington, D.C. And by night, after she gets off work, she actually creates colorful and intricately made coloring book pages for adults. And she actually has a lot of inspiration in her new home. Her boss, Professor John Maxwell, actually asks her to move into his beautiful carriage house. And the only condition is that she moves in immediately. She can have it rent-free, but she has to move in immediately so that his sister and horrid nephew don't snatch it out from under him. However, Flory meets the professor's nephew, Delbert, and she realizes that he is just as much the scum of the earth that the professor sort of depicted him to be. He comes and then he leaves sort of like a tornado, and she has no idea where he went. She ends up traveling up to the 3rd level in the bookstore, and she notices a trap door. Underneath the trap door is a dead Delbert. And she knows that her boss, the professor, is going to be considered the prime suspect. But she's pretty sure that there are many others who have reason to want Delbert dead. And through her doodling and sort of connecting the dots, she tries to figure out the whodunit. I am super excited for this series. Again, it's the Pen and Ink mystery series, and it's called Color Me Murder, and that comes out on February 27th. The second book that I'm going to talk about is The Cats of Baskerville. This is a Sherlock Holmes bookshop mystery series by Vicki Delaney, and this is book number 3. It comes out on February 13th. In The Cat of Baskerville, it seems like a show is about to go on. Legendary movie and stage star Sir Nigel Bellingham arrives on Cape Cod to be the lead actor in the stage performance of The Hound of Baskerville. And it's supposed to be a big, huge affair. Sir Nigel and some of the actors actually end up in Gemma's bookshop, Sherlock Holmes bookshop at 222 Baker Street. Gemma realizes that Sir Nigel is not all he's cracked up to be. He's past his prime and is an old drunk, and it seems like a lot of the younger actors are salty that he's even there because he doesn't necessarily fit the role. Now, Jane, Gemma's best friend, her mother owns Mrs. Hudson's tea room, and she wants to put on a tea for the whole entire cast as sort of a let's get this party started kind of thing. And after the tea, everybody's going to leave, and we can't find Sir Nigel. And they find him dead at the end of a cliff on rocks. And it seems that the police are overlooking all of the other possible suspects, and they're blaming Jane's mom, Leslie. And it's all up to Jane and Gemma to sort of clear Jane's mom's name. It seems like a good series. I love anything that's Sherlock Holmes-esque. I am gonna be honest, the description of the book seems a little bit complicated to me, but I'm sure that it's going to be a fantastic book. And again, that comes out on February 13th. And the third book that I have is an Amish Candy Shop series, and that's by Amanda Flower. It's called Lethal Licorice, and it comes out on February 27th. So this book, Lethal Licorice, is set in Harvest, Ohio, which is a long, long way away from New York, where Bailey King was actually a head chocolatier in a company there. She is sort of asked to take over her grandparents' Swissman Sweets, her Amish grandparents. Her grandmother is newly widowed, and she has come home to take care of her. Of course, she wants to sort of live well by her grandfather, and she goes into the Amish confectionery competition. She's super excited to sort of win the trophy for her grandfather, but she is sort of an outcast coming into the Amish country. She is seen as someone who might be a bad influence, if you will. Bailey might have bitten off more than she could chew, because it seems like they're looking for a pot-bellied pig that's missing, but then turns around and they find an over-sugared body. It seems like another candy maker, Josephine Weaver, who wanted Bailey out of the competition, has actually turned up dead from an allergy to an essential licorice ingredient. The suspect includes two people: Josephine's niece, who's going through Rumspringa, or running around time, and Bailey herself. And it seems like Bailey is going to have to clear her name and sort of figure out the real whodunit. So that is the second book in the Amish Candy Shop series, and it comes out on February 27th. And the fourth book I have to talk about is a cat rescue mystery. This is Death by a Whisker by T.C. Lo Tempio. It is the second book in the series, and it comes out on February 13th. So this story is set in Deer Park, North Carolina, and Sydney McCall and her tabby cat Toby are helping her sister Kate run their local animal shelter, and they're having a big fundraising event. They are super excited because Shopping Channel Queen Ula Townshend is coming to help with the fundraiser. However, the shelter administrator, Maggie, is not happy to having to work with Ula. She is not the nicest person in the world, and she's kind of self-centered and stuck up. But the show must go on. They have to get this money for their shelter. They actually decide to, in the middle of the fundraiser, they have everything going on, and Ula turns up dead. And it seems that her cause of death is actually an allergic reaction. And everything points to Michelle, who vehemently did not like Ula from the first place. But Sid and her trusty cat Toby are sort of digging up what really happened, and it looks like there's no shortage of people who did not like Ula, and they are trying to, and I love this last sentence in the description, guys, I giggled. Now Sid and Toby must claw their way to the truth before everything goes paws up at their animal shelter in Death by a Whisker. Paws up. So, again, that comes out February 13th, and it is the second book in this series. And the fifth book that I'm going to talk about is Murder in an Irish Churchyard, and it is from the Irish Village Mystery series by Carleen O'Connor. It is number 3 in the series, and it releases on February 27th. All right, so this is book 3 of the series, so we're getting a little bit more into the main character, Saban's sort of what she's doing with her life. And her 5 siblings couldn't be prouder of her. She is now sort of making her way into the world and who she wants to be. She realizes that in Kilbane, it's pretty quiet compared to Dublin, where it seems Macdara Flannery has gone to be a detective sergeant. And one night, local priests from a church actually call her because they found a body in the graveyard. And it's not a body that should be, you know, in the ground. It's actually above the ground, lying on some freshly downpoured snow. And it looks like he was shot. His hand was outstretched to a tombstone, and they're trying to figure out who this person is because it's a stranger. They had heard about an American who had come to Ireland to sort of figure out his roots, where he and his family came from. And a detective sergeant, it seems, Macdara, actually comes to help Siobhan. And even though things are awkward between them, they still have to work together to figure out this mystery. And that is book 3 in this series, Irish Village Mystery by Carleen O'Connor, and it comes out on February 27th. And last but certainly not least is the 6th book that I'm going to talk about. It's a auction block mystery series by Loretta Ross. This is number 4 in the series, Death and the Viking's Daughter. All right, so this is about Death, though spelled death, so that threw me off, and Ren. They are engaged, and they're trying to sort of take their relationship to the next level, meeting each other's parents and sort of figuring out how they as a couple are going to go on with their life. Apparently they have done sleuthing together before because Death is a private eye, and it seems like their 2 cases are about to interact with each other. Death and Ren are helping prepare auction items for an old supper club. They're going through all of the antiques, and they actually run into a Viking historical reenactor. And they realize that he almost died next door at a historical settlement. He claims that he saw the ghost of his daughter who had disappeared over 20 years ago. And Ren thinks that she needs to figure this out. She needs to figure out what happens. While Death is actually investigating very sentimental historical items that have been taken. And it seems that both of their separate investigations actually end up intertwining, and they're trying to figure out what happened to both maybe the daughter and the historical items that have high sentimental value. So this actually seems like a really good book. I love anything that has to do with like history and antiques and different things like that. It's my history major in me that's like, ooh, something old to touch. So I love this. So those were the 6 books that I found were going to be releasing in February of this year. I'm super excited. Let me know if you've read any of these series before or if you're excited to start them. Thank you so much for stopping by. That's the end of this chapter of Courtagonist. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, happy reading. Bye.